It feels like just yesterday you were running errands, maybe chasing after grandchildren, feeling full of energy. And now, maybe you're noticing things aren't quite the same. You're trying your best to eat right. Perhaps you've been told to watch your blood sugar. Or maybe you're just trying to avoid feeling tired and sluggish after meals. You read labels. You pick things you think are good for you, labeled as healthy or natural. But despite your best efforts, sometimes your blood sugar numbers just don't make sense. Or you still feel that energy slump. It can be frustrating, can't it? Like you're doing everything right, but something is still holding you back. What if some of those foods you think are helping are actually secretly working against you? What if some common items sitting in your pantry, the ones with the health halos, are actually culprits behind those unexpected blood sugar spikes? It's a hidden truth that trips up so many of us. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 of these seemingly healthy foods that can secretly raise your blood sugar, and more importantly, what you can easily swap them for. It's simpler than you might think to make a real difference once you know what to look for. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you. Let's dive right in. Starting with something many of us grew up thinking was the epitome of a healthy start to the day, or a refreshing way to get your vitamins: fruit juice. Now, I'm not talking about a little squeeze of lemon and water, or maybe juicing a single vegetable at home. I'm talking about those cartons and bottles, even the ones proudly labeled 100% pure fruit juice with no added sugar. You see them everywhere: orange juice, apple juice, cranberry cocktail, grape juice, you name it. They often show pictures of fresh, ripe fruit, making you feel like you're pouring a glass of nature's bounty. And technically, yes, it comes from fruit. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Especially for us as we get a little older and our bodies process things differently. When you juice a piece of fruit, let's say an orange, you strip away something absolutely vital: the fiber. Think about eating a whole orange. You peel it. You chew the segments, and all that pulpy stuff. That's fiber. That fiber does a few wonderful things inside your body. It helps you feel full, which is great for managing weight. More importantly, when it comes to blood sugar, that fiber acts like a speed bump. It slows down how quickly your body absorbs the natural sugars from the fruit. So, when you eat a whole orange, the sugar gets released into your bloodstream gradually, giving your body time to manage it without a sudden spike. Now, take that same orange and juice it. You might need 2 or 3 oranges to make 1 glass of juice. All the sugar from those 2 or 3 oranges is now concentrated into a liquid. And crucially, almost all the fiber is gone. When you drink that juice, that concentrated sugar hits your bloodstream like a tidal wave. There's no fiber to slow it down. Your pancreas suddenly has to produce a lot of insulin very quickly to try and handle all that sugar. This sudden rush of sugar and the subsequent insulin response is exactly what we want to avoid, especially if we're concerned about blood sugar levels, maybe pre-diabetes, or even just those energy crashes that come after a sugar spike. You might feel a quick burst of energy, but it's often followed by that familiar slump or fatigue. Think about it like this. Eating a whole apple is like taking a gentle stroll up a hill, manageable and steady. Drinking a glass of apple juice is like taking a rocket ship straight up, fast and intense, with a quick drop on the other side. And this applies even to juices labeled healthy or organic. If it's juice from fruit, it's essentially concentrated sugar water without the fiber buffer. So, what's a better choice? Simple: eat the whole fruit. An orange is wonderful, full of fiber and nutrients, and it's much more satisfying than a glass of juice. Berries are fantastic, low in sugar and high in fiber. An apple with the skin on is a great snack. If you're thirsty, plain water is always the best choice. Or try sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon or a few berries for flavor. Making this simple swap from juice to whole fruit and water is one of the easiest, most impactful things you can do to help keep your blood sugar steadier throughout the day. Moving on from liquid sugar bombs to something that often appears in what looks like a healthy snack mix or on top of your morning cereal or yogurt: dried fruit, raisins, dried cranberries, dried apricots, dried mango, figs. They seem innocent enough. Right, they're fruit. After all, and they do contain some fiber and nutrients. But similar to juice, the process of drying concentrates the sugars dramatically. Imagine a fresh grape. It's mostly water, with some natural sugar and fiber. Now, dry that grape and turn it into a raisin. All the water is removed, but the sugar stays. So, a small, innocent-looking handful of raisins can contain the sugar equivalent of a much larger portion of fresh grapes. It's like taking a whole bunch of grapes and shrinking them down, leaving the sweet stuff behind in a much more condensed form. This concentrated sugar, without the bulk of the water and with less fiber compared to eating the same weight of fresh fruit, though dried fruit still retains some fiber, just not as much as you'd get eating the fresh equivalent until you hit the same sugar load, means your body absorbs that sugar much faster than if you ate the fresh version. It's very easy to overconsume dried fruit because it's so small and chewy. You might pop a dozen raisins without thinking. But would you sit down and eat an entire cup of grapes in one go? Maybe not as likely. Those small amounts of dried fruit add up quickly in terms of sugar and calorie content. And they can send your blood sugar soaring without you even realizing it. They're often added to trail mixes, which can also contain nuts good, but also sugary granola or chocolate chips not so good. They're in many healthy-looking snack bars or sprinkled on cereals. A small serving of dried fruit can be equivalent to eating several pieces of fresh fruit in terms of sugar, but you don't get the same feeling of fullness or the same hydrating benefits. So, while a few raisins in a trail mix occasionally might not be the end of the world, relying on dried fruit as a regular healthy snack or adding generous portions to your meals is something to be very mindful of. A better approach: reach for fresh fruit instead. A handful of fresh berries, a peach, an apple, a banana. These offer hydration, more volume to help you feel full, and the fiber works wonders in keeping your blood sugar on an even keel. If you absolutely love dried fruit, treat it like candy. Have a very small amount occasionally, perhaps mixed with nuts and seeds to balance the sugar with protein and healthy fats, which can help slow down absorption. Just be aware of how much you're actually eating, because those little pieces pack a sugary punch that can definitely raise your blood sugar secretly. Now, let's turn our attention to something many people reach for first thing in the morning, believing they are making a healthy choice: breakfast cereal. You walk down the cereal aisle, and you see boxes proclaiming whole grain, low fat, heart healthy, maybe with pictures of sun-drenched fields of oats or wheat. It looks wholesome and nutritious, the perfect start to the day, especially with some milk. But many, and I mean many, breakfast cereals, even those that sound healthy, are essentially sugar bombs in disguise. Often highly processed carbohydrates that your body breaks down into sugar very quickly. Let's look at those claims on the box. Whole grain is good. Yes, but how much sugar is added to that whole grain, and how is it processed? Many cereals are extruded or puffed, processes that can make the carbohydrates more easily digestible and thus more likely to cause a rapid blood sugar rise. Think about those crunchy flakes or O's or clusters. Are they naturally that shape? No. They've been through significant manufacturing, even if the first ingredient is a whole grain. Check the sugar content. It can be astonishingly high, sometimes listed under multiple names: sugar, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, brown rice syrup, malt syrup, honey, molasses. If you see sugar listed early in the ingredient list, or multiple types of sweeteners, that box of cereal is probably not your friend when it comes to managing blood sugar. The processing itself matters too. Highly refined grains, even if fortified with vitamins, behave very differently in your body than intact whole grains. They lack the structure and fiber that slows digestion. So, you eat a bowl, perhaps with some milk, and that refined or processed carbohydrate, coupled with added sugars, hits your system fast. You get a quick spike in blood sugar, followed by that familiar crash. leaving you hungry again sooner than you'd like. This can set you up for a day of energy ups and downs and sugar cravings. What about those cereals marketed specifically as low-fat or diet cereals? Often, when fat is removed from a food, something needs to be added back to make it taste good, and that something is frequently sugar. So you might be avoiding fat, but you're loading up on sugar, which is far worse for blood sugar control and overall metabolic health. Reading labels is absolutely key here. Look at the total carbohydrates and, crucially, the added sugars line. Compare different cereals. You might be surprised at the difference between a plain rolled oat and a sugary O-shaped cereal or a healthy granola. Speaking of which, granola, while often containing oats and nuts, is frequently held together with syrups and oils and can be incredibly high in sugar and calories. So, what are better breakfast alternatives? Plain rolled oats not instant cooked with water or unsweetened milk is a fantastic base. Add some berries for natural sweetness and fiber. Maybe some nuts or seeds for protein and healthy fats to further slow digestion. Eggs are a wonderful option. Protein-rich. They keep you full and have very little impact on blood sugar. Plain Greek yogurt with berries and nuts is another excellent choice. These alternatives provide sustained energy without the sugar spike and subsequent crash that so many cereals cause. It's not just about picking something labeled whole grain. It's about understanding the processing and the added sugar lurking within. Moving on from the breakfast bowl, let's talk about something else that's often seen as a healthy snack or dessert: low-fat flavored yogurt. We've been told for years that low-fat is better for our health. And yogurt contains calcium and probiotics, which are great. But just like with cereal, when fat is removed from yogurt, something has to replace that creaminess and flavor, and that something is almost always sugar. You pick up a small cup of fruity or vanilla low-fat yogurt, thinking you're doing yourself a favor. But flip it over and look at the nutrition label and the ingredients. You might be shocked by the amount of sugar. A small container can easily have 15, 20, even 25 grams of sugar. To put that into perspective, 4 grams of sugar is about 1 teaspoon. So, a single small yogurt could contain the equivalent of 4, 5, or even 6 teaspoons of sugar. That's more sugar than you'd find in some candy bars. This sugar, especially in a low-fat product where there's less fat to slow down absorption, hits your bloodstream quickly, leading to a blood sugar spike. The fat in full-fat dairy, while higher in calories, can actually be beneficial for blood sugar control because it slows down the digestion and absorption of the carbohydrates and natural sugars present. When you remove the fat and add a load of processed sugar, you get the worst of both worlds: a high-sugar product that causes a rapid rise in blood sugar. And it's not just the sugar that's the issue. Many of these flavored yogurts contain artificial flavors, colors, and sweeteners in addition to, or sometimes instead of, real sugar. And while artificial sweeteners don't add calories or directly raise blood sugar in the same way sugar does, there's growing evidence that they can still impact our metabolism and gut health in ways that aren't entirely beneficial. And they perpetuate a craving for intense sweetness. But the primary culprit in most low-fat flavored yogurts is plain old added sugar. So, what's a better choice? Unsweetened plain yogurt, particularly plain Greek yogurt, is a much healthier alternative. Greek yogurt is strained, which means it's higher in protein and thicker, which helps you feel full and satisfied. Plain yogurt contains natural sugars from the milk lactose, but it doesn't have the added sugar burden. You can then customize it yourself. Add some fresh berries for natural sweetness and fiber. Toss in a few nuts or seeds for healthy fats and protein. A sprinkle of cinnamon can add flavor without sugar and has some potential benefits for blood sugar control itself. This way, you get all the benefits of yogurt, the calcium, the probiotics, the protein, without the massive sugar load. You control the sweetness by adding fruit, or maybe a tiny drizzle of real maple syrup or honey if you absolutely need it. But you'll likely find that the natural sweetness of fruit is perfectly sufficient. Make the swap from a sugary flavored yogurt to plain yogurt with your own additions, and you'll likely notice a difference in how you feel. and how your blood sugar behaves after that snack or meal. It's a simple change, but very effective. Finally, let's look at another category of food that has gained immense popularity. Often marketed as a convenient health food, a quick breakfast or snack on the go, granola bars and protein bars. They line the shelves promising energy, fiber, protein, and all sorts of good things. They often feature pictures of nuts, seeds, fruit, and wholesome ingredients. And yes, some of them are genuinely decent options, but many, and again, probably most, are little more than dressed-up candy bars. They might contain some nuts or oats, but they are frequently bound together with syrups, corn syrup, brown rice syrup, agave syrup, glucose syrup, honey, which are all forms of sugar, often in concentrated amounts. They can also contain chocolate chips, candy pieces, and other sugary additions. Even bars that boast high protein can be loaded with sugar or artificial sweeteners and other additives to make them palatable. The protein is great, but the sugar can cancel out some of the blood sugar benefits you'd expect from protein. Think about a typical chewy granola bar. It's sweet, sticky, and often made primarily from rolled oats and some form of syrup. While oats are whole grain, when they're processed and combined with significant amounts of sugar or syrup, the resulting bar can behave similarly to a cookie or a piece of cake in terms of its impact on your blood sugar. It's a concentrated source of carbohydrates and sugar, often with insufficient fiber or protein to really slow down its absorption. Protein bars can be just as tricky. Some are excellent, providing a good dose of protein with minimal added sugar and decent fiber. Others are essentially layered candy bars with a bit of protein powder thrown in, loaded with sugar alcohols which can cause digestive upset for some or multiple types of added sugars and processed ingredients. Reading the ingredient list and the nutrition facts is crucial here. Look at the added sugar content. If a bar has 10 to 20 grams of added sugar, it's likely going to spike your blood sugar. Look for bars with minimal added sugar, a good amount of fiber, ideally 3+ grams, and a decent amount of protein, say 8+ grams. Simpler bars made primarily from nuts, seeds, and maybe a little dried fruit. Remember our earlier point about dried fruit, so check the sugar there too, or a minimal amount of natural sweetener are usually better choices than the multi-layered, heavily processed ones. What are better alternatives for a quick snack? A handful of nuts and seeds provides healthy fats, protein, and fiber, a great combination for steady energy and blood sugar. A piece of whole fruit, as we discussed, plain yogurt, a hard-boiled egg, small portions of leftovers from a healthy meal. These provide nutrients and satiety without the hidden sugars and processed ingredients often found in bars. It's about choosing real, whole foods whenever possible, instead of packaged convenience items that can be secretly sabotaging your efforts to manage your blood sugar and energy levels. So, we've talked about fruit juice, dried fruit, many breakfast cereals, low-fat flavored yogurt, and granola and protein bars. You can see a pattern here. Can't you? Many of these foods, despite being marketed as healthy or containing some beneficial components, are processed in ways that remove fiber and/or add significant amounts of sugar, often in concentrated forms. It's these concentrated sugars and lack of fiber that lead to those unwelcome blood sugar spikes. It's not about never eating these things again. Life is about balance, after all. But it's about being aware. Being aware that the glass of juice isn't the same as eating the fruit. Being aware that the handful of raisins is very different from a handful of grapes. Being aware that a cereal box with a whole grain stamp can still be loaded with sugar. Being aware that low fat doesn't automatically mean low sugar or healthy. And being aware that many convenient bars are essentially sweets in disguise. This knowledge empowers you to make conscious choices. It's not about complicated diets or deprivation. It's about simple swaps and understanding what you're putting into your body. Choose whole fruit over juice. Opt for fresh or frozen fruit over large quantities of dried fruit. Select whole, Unprocessed grains like oats or eggs and plain yogurt for breakfast instead of sugary cereals. Pick plain yogurt and add your own fruit and nuts instead of flavored varieties. Reach for a handful of nuts, seeds, or a piece of whole fruit instead of a sugary bar. These small adjustments might seem minor on their own, but when you make them consistently, they add up to a significant difference in your blood sugar control, your energy levels, and how you feel overall. It's about feeding your body the steady, reliable fuel it needs, not sending it on a roller coaster ride of sugar highs and lows. Remember, every meal, every snack is an opportunity to nourish yourself and support your health. Don't be discouraged if you've been caught out by some of these foods. They are marketed very effectively to seem healthy. Now you know. And that's the most important step. You have the power to make different choices going forward. Small changes really can make a big difference to your health and happiness, helping you maintain stable energy and manage your blood sugar more effectively, giving you more freedom and enjoyment in your day-to-day life. We're all on this journey together, learning and adapting. What are your thoughts on these foods? Have you been surprised by the sugar content in anything you thought was healthy? Share your experiences or questions in the comments below. It helps everyone learn from each other. And if you found this information helpful, please give this video a like. It tells me I'm on the right track and encourages me to make more videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more simple, practical tips for living your best life at every age. Taking care of yourself is the most important thing you can do, and it's simpler than you think once you have the right information. Keep making those healthy choices, one step at a time. Live your best life at every age.